everyone. I'm excited to introduce our next guest presenter, Chloë Goodchild. We're gonna learn about vocal empowerment, the voice of your soul. I'm Christine Stevens, and I'm very blessed to host this conversation with Chloë Goodchild joining us live in England. She's a dear friend of mine. We met many years ago at some of the sound healing conferences, and she's a pioneer of voice expression, peace building, helping people free their voice and connect to their higher purpose and a spiritual path. And she's also the author of The Naked Voice, Transform Your Life Through the Power of Sound. The Naked Voice is an organization she founded many years ago to train people to bring their voice, something we all have everywhere we go. That's what I love about this session in our Sound Healing Summit. She's currently writing a song cycle to accompany a forthcoming book called Gaia, her story. So Chloë, you get to be the voice of the earth. How beautiful is that? She's also a presenter, teacher, and author for Sounds True audiobooks, the Shift Network, Whole Worldview, and Humanities Team. And I've been so blessed to be interviewed by you on the Voce Dialogues, which is a very powerful podcast that interviews voices of compassionate evolution. I mean, you've just been bringing so many beautiful things to the world. And so now we're going to have a chance to meet with you today and participate. I know from the past, Chloë, you really get us involved because we're here and we all have this gift of our voice. So please welcome our presenter, Chloë Goodchild.
Hello, Christine. It's so gorgeous to be with you today. Yeah, and to share our passion for sound, and in this case, the voice. Yeah.
Yes, and I know I was a person who was told I couldn't sing well. You know, I'm one of those drummers who was kind of told that, and I have loved your work in discovering my voice. And so I know today you want to bring us a focus on sound empowerment practices for authentic expression. Wow, all of those are juicy words to say. Authentic expression with sound empowerment, which helps us get out of that critical, why can't I sound good when I sing kind of thing. So yeah, just take it away. We're so grateful to have you bring us into these empowerment practices today.
Christine, well, it's a great privilege for me, as always, to be, sharing this work with you and with everyone. So you mentioned Gaia. Let's just maybe just start with a chant for Gaia. So it's very simple. You just have to know one word, which is Gaia. And to imagine this great blue planet, just to send it a lot of love right now, okay? And I'm just going to sing the melody line, and I just want you to join me as you feel you would like to. First of all, just bringing your awareness down into your feet, touching Gaia, whether you're in a building or outside, and just take your awareness through the middle of your feet, right down 1,000 miles down into the great mighty Mother Gaia. She who has been growing and evolving and is continuing to evolve for the last 13.8 billion years, apparently. And she started with a big breath, a mighty breath. So just take a big breath in. And just feel the ease of that. There's absolutely nothing in the way of that. And just feel the awareness of Gaia, receiving your energy, your love, and receive it back. Again, just Gaia, Gaia. And just find, you might just want to noodle around even with that yourselves. Just let Gaia sing through you a little bit. It doesn't matter how quietly or how loudly she wants to sing through you. The reality is she is evolving like never before. And so we are so blessed to be on this earth at this time, right? And so this chant goes like this. Gaia, 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 Isn't that cool? It's just the easiest thing, isn't it? Let's just do that again. And you just make it up as you go along. Gaia. Big breath in. Gaia. Just hum it too, just
Gaia,
Gaia, Gaia, Gaia. I love hearing it with your drum.
Gaia. That does feel really good. Amazing what just one word can become an entire chant. I mean, could you say something about that?
Well, I think simplicity is the key to a really empowered voice, you know? We don't, what that does is it, of course, just knowing that you haven't got to remember a lot of stuff, as in your mental left side of the brain has got to kick in and remember all these words. Just one word, particularly that extraordinary ancient sacred Greek word, you know, and obviously Sanskritic words, you know, or Gaelic words or indigenous words. You know, so often they give us this utter simplicity, but there's a kind of depth and a resonance that comes with that, because you can then dedicate your attention inwards and downwards, and down into the earth, and start to really feel the sound being received from the ground.
Thank you for that. I think, just to dissect what you just created, I love that we had the preparation where we felt the energy in our feet, and it wasn't like, go sing.
Mm.
And I mean, can you say something about that too? Because I feel like what I always learn and what you come and teach our global community is these kind of steps of how we get there. That first we have this intention and we connect in our embodied physical form.
Yeah,
But
well,
I'm curious to know about that practice, how you've arrived at that or how you've brought that out of us today in this experience.
love. It's just love is how I would, that's the initial impetus, is how the voice can be such a vehicle for love. And many of us, as you were just mentioning earlier, have had these traumatic experiences with kind of fascist music teachers, you know, who are all just really, in so many times, just wanting the best for us, probably. They're wanting to fulfill some curriculum need or whatever. Either that, or we've been brought up in contexts where, the parents were really under stress of one kind or another. And of course, that stress is ancestral, it goes back a long way. And so very often we find ourselves being brought up in these narratives, these negative narratives that really challenge our capacity to experience love. But what I've discovered over and over and over and over is that even the most negative of experiences, they themselves can be the catalyst for a kind of breakthrough, a kind of I am here at this time. I came to earth to live on this earth in these wild, turbulent times of great uncertainty. I came to live on this earth because I knew it was going to be a spiritual crisis that we're facing at this time. And I knew that I had to find a voice and give truth to that voice and give voice to that truth in a way that is really the sum total and blessing of all the challenges I've had in my life, all the opportunities I've had to break through, to say, I'm going to learn something from this experience. And now I'm going to learn something new from this experience, and on and on and on and on. And then love comes in. Love somehow has this extraordinary way of entering in and through. I mean, even the darkest moments are, it's like love is breaking through. It's trying to tell us something that we never imagined possible. So, for example, even that melody line that we just sang, Gaia, Gaia, you can actually use it as homeopathy and turn it into a more darker place, like Gaia, Gaia, Gaia. Now that can be like a really passionate thing maybe as well, or what I notice is with people, when I ask them, for example, what do you most love about your voice? They will say very often, well, that's why I'm here, because I actually don't think I've got one. I haven't got a voice. I mean, I had a pretty crazy experience of my voice. And it would seem as if we actually explore the whole evolution of the human species, that we have over the course of time, created a kind of, it's really weird to say it because the indigenous people know this is not true, but that so-called civilization has created a kind of very fragmented, separatist, fear-mongering, acquiescent-making humanity, right? And that kind of process, which has been driven by a kind of scientific method that has also encouraged that separateness, that randomness, has encouraged us to feel, right, okay, my soul is not required here. I'll just shut down. I'll just shut down. So, but the beautiful thing is that you can find your voice just like that. Because if you, for example, you feel like a kind of depression, all right, so somebody might come in, I'm working one-to-one together, and they might say to me, well, actually, I'm feeling really depressed, and you go, wow, great. You see, instead of, oh, I'm so sorry, that must be terrible, and then, so what does that sound like? What does depression sound like? And they're like really surprised, because it's like, the kind of, the usual response to that would be, well, I've had a really terrible life, and let me tell you about that. Let me tell you who I'm not going to forgive and who we're going to blame in this session. And we'll do a whole load of cathartic stuff, and I'll feel even more exhausted by the end of it, right? So we're not going to take that path. We're going to say, wow, what does depression sound like? Because the reality is that depression, or whatever emotional state we're in, it's like the weather. It's like an emotional weather that has a sound, that if we were just pure consciousness, right? If we were just awakened pure consciousness, it would just be like, oh, depression's passing through again. Nice. Good. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's just hear what the weather of depression is like. Okay. So what happens is they go, well, I couldn't do that because I'm not a musician, right? So you go, well, I'm really so happy that you have that story. You're not a musician, because that means you're still connected with you haven't been like trained, nor was I. I was not trained. I just knew I had to find this voice this lifetime. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right? And then they go, yeah, I get that. I get that. So, okay. So depression, let's just see what that might sound like. Oh, right. That's gorgeous. Oh, really? Well, that was just doodling. What are you talking about? That's not real music. My music teacher threw me out of the choir for that sound. Okay. So you go, well, just do that again, because it's really, oh. Okay, let's give that a little bit more energy. Let's all do that. Cool, eh? There's something really, what can you hear, Christine, in that sound?
Well, it's funny that you asked me, because I felt like some classical composition from Europe or something. I don't know, from some European composer. I did. I felt like Beethoven-ish. And I also felt this. I can't tell you in words what it is, but I felt this.
Okay, yeah. So
it had its own wave, right? It had a wave of truth. And I love your title today, Giving Voice to Truth. So yeah, it just was what it is.
Right. It was what it is. And that is a really important thing, is to remember it's just what it is. All right. So you start listening a bit more deeply, and you keep, like it as if you were chanting a mantra, you just keep going, ah. And you realize there's a lot more in there than when you first heard it. When you just listen to the sound, but you not only listen to the sound now, you listen to the silence that follows it. Okay, so we're not just interested in the material sound, we're now interested in hearing what happens when the sound has finished. What quality of silence does your voice leave behind? All right, so now we're not just interested in the storyline that created that apparent depression, but we're interested in the silence it leaves behind. Let's see. Oh. So there's this as well. This accompanies the voice. This silence itself is actually the teacher now. So we're going to allow the sound to return, and we're going to do the same practice again. And I want you just to really become aware of how the silence that follows the sound is as important. And this time, I want you not to have this sense of making sound, but of receiving it, all right? So you may still have that feeling of that minor kind of interval, you know, it might be that kind of Beethoven, you know, Sturm und Drang of Beethoven. Yeah, why not? And there's what follows it. What quality of silence follows? Try again. Oh. And just let that silence, the awareness that is now with you, feel where that awareness is in your body. Where is it most felt? Where can you feel it? Or just feel yourself now in this moment of sound and silence. So what we start to realize is that sound happens. Sound is the ground of consciousness, if you like. In the beginning was the word, yes. And we've been brought up in a world that is all about making things happen and letting the ego drive the vehicle, you know, and impressing others with our voice, right? So not only the sung voice, but the speaking voice, right? And so if we just come back to this, we start realizing, we can then start asking ourselves, where is this actually coming from? You know, I've got a story about this sound, but if I really listen to the silence that kind of seems to be surrounding it and embracing it and activating it, I'm now in a wider field of listening that is not just about me and my voice, but it's more like the sound helps me to feel the ground of my being all around, so that I'm aware of myself as vibration. The whole body, all whatever it is the 50, 100, 150 trillion cells, all vibrating. And the emotions are fantastic. You know, the stories are fantastic because very often they are a fantastic catalyst for this experience. And they lead us into this wider knowing and listening and being and embodying of the voice. And then we start to realize the voice is not just the storyline anymore. It's the entire context of life on earth. And hence Gaia, that we are made of the elements of Gaia. So we start realizing, goodness me, wow. You know, I haven't got to impress anybody anymore. All I've got to do is just be present to what? To what? To this moment. To this moment. Now, this moment is made up of, if we start looking at the physical reality of this moment, an ascending, descending line of energy, if you like, within the human body. So wherever we felt that, oh, whether we felt it in the heart, whether we felt it in the belly or down in our feet or on our shoulders, we can start placing that feeling within the context of a much wider field of awareness. And that field of awareness starts with the elemental, the chakras that we will know very well, probably many of us, what we call the 7 sounds of love, which is like a body-centered singing map that enables you to feel every single step of the way where the emotion touches at whatever given moment. So there's this ascending, descending line of energy that links us with Gaia. And that is our connection, our direct connection with Source and with the cosmos. And then that opens out into the horizontal. And that horizontal, if you hold out your hands, this is a mudra that in our world we call brightening the whole world. And it's actually a sword movement. We use sword movement, energy movement work in the naked voice. And this one, if you had a sword in your hand, would be just literally extending the field of energy even further. So now it's quite difficult not to smile, if you might notice, because we're in the horizontality of the sound. And that is how we express all-inclusive love. So if we may, Christina, just really travel through these 7 sounds of love, starting with the all-inclusive, yes, and then coming down to the 4th, the heart center, the devotional, coming right down into the 3rd, the instinctual love, to the 2nd, where the hands are just open, like an offering, and then back down to the source itself. So if you actually place your right hand around your left thumb, just really feel that beautiful, firm, but soft and gentle, firm lock, and take that down. And just take another breath and breathe down into the root of your being. The source of love. Sa. And just bring your full awareness into the root chakra. Lam. And we're just going to travel through these different locations of consciousness and to experience them now as different states and levels of loving consciousness. So we start with the source of love, Sa. And I'm actually on A here on my harmonium. Just let yourself, with that lovely mudra, just standing with the eyes closed, just sounding Sa. And again, Sa. one more time. Sa. Opening the hands out into the second. So your hands are now opening in offering, and they're right beside the hips. So you just literally, like, your fingers are like laser beams. And Christina, I'll make sure that we have a share screen for this, so people can see the image of, yeah. This is the second, which is sexual creative love, okay? Lovely. And then just bringing your offering hands into the third, the instinctual solar plexus, and just bringing that into, like you've got the reins of a horse, so that you're literally holding the reins of a horse. Ga, instinctual love. Saga. Instinctual love, the fire of love. And that brings us into the fourth, the heart center right here. So the hands just come forwards in an offering. And this mudra is called offering flowers. And the sound is ma. Sama. Offering flowers to your beloved. And that then opens out into this wonderful all-inclusive love. Pa. And the hands are literally receiving light from the sky. So, sa, pa, pa. That's the throat chakra, all-inclusive love. And this mudra is actually called brightening the whole world. And it's the most glorious mudra you could just stand. If you ever have any doubt or uncertainty, just enjoy bringing yourself to the window or to the mirror and just sounding Sapa. And that was the note we started with, Gaia. So it's a very empowering, and what's happening is you're connecting the vertical with the horizontal. So you're creating this, if you like, the metaphor of the cross. You're absolutely integrating and unifying your reality with your social compound as well as with the cosmos, with heaven. And you're bringing that all-inclusive love into service. So you bring the hands together above your head and then just bring them out, just in front of you. So it's not like a Hindu or a Christian praying like that. It's more like that, like you've got a sword in front of you. Yes? And I want you to imagine you literally have And that take your awareness to the end of that sword. It's an invisible sword you have there. This is compassionate love. And take your awareness right to the tip of that sword. And you'll be, if you literally had a sword in your hand, the tip of that sword and your pineal gland, your third eye, would be in line with one another. So the awareness now with the eyes wide open is with compassionate love. I am now giving this all-inclusive love out into the world. And be aware as you hold this mudra. Da, it's called. And it's like, it's a mantra, da, D-H-A. That you have a very strong connection from the tip of that sword into the third eye, down the center of the body into the feet. And you're looking very far. And you are not afraid. You are totally connected. Everything is ready. It's the I am moment, if you like. It's a very, very powerful mudra. And it's Da, it's the sixth interval, the musical interval, the sixth chakra, the third eye. Sa, da. Can you feel you're lifting all your sound frequencies up, and you're literally upgrading the frequencies of your voice as you move into compassionate love? Yes, this awareness of the witnessing consciousness lives here, the capacity to observe without judging. Yes. Sa, da. You've gone beyond the, can I do this? You know, you've gone beyond that. And you're just, you can feel you're one breath away from God, if you like. And it's like you can't help yourself now, you're going up. It's like you're in a lift of awareness, yeah? Sani. And the hands now are directly, so you bring that sword right up above your head. Okay? And have that sense of an upward motion. So you may even want to tilt the head back even. And that is mystical love. Sa-ni. Yeah, it's very powerful, that, isn't it? What I notice, I don't know about you, but I notice when you're feeling this raising of the frequencies up, and it's totally embodied, you know, you've got to be really grounded once you're here, because if you're not, you're going to fly off into some kind of crazed psychotic space. So you've got to be very, very grounded. And this is where this and this and this and this, all the different mudras assist this upward movement. So as the higher you go, the deeper you go. It's not like we're now lifting off and going somewhere else. There's nowhere else to go. We're just lifting the frequency of consciousness, mystical love, which then opens into, we're back with the I am of oneness. And the hands just literally move out into the cosmos. So you just bring that experience down into all the way down and so on. And I think what I'm going to do, Christina, is to offer you the gift is a video of the entire movement. Would that be a good idea?
That would be wonderful. I feel like maybe you can take a moment to explain some application of this gorgeousness. And I believe I met your colleague who helped integrate the movements with you, whether that comes from martial arts, I'm trying to remember. But let's first just say thank you for that gorgeous tuning through the voice, through love, what you just guided us from the earth to ground us into the sound of depression, that it's okay, that there's, we weren't using words. It was just, I love that it's just syllables and no need to talk it out. And then you brought us into this scale of embodied love. And so maybe just if you want to explain some of those sources of that and how we can take this in a practical way into our lives.
Ah, what a great question. Well, yeah, one big gratitude and thank you to Masashi Minagawa and to the whole practice, energy movement practice of Shin Taido. Shin Taido, which means new body way. It's really beautiful work. And the two of us met in the early 90s. And he had just moved to England from Japan. And I remember that beautiful meeting with you and him and all of us together. And he came to one of my concerts, and I just come back from India, and I'd been studying these Sanskritic sounds as an Indian scale, Sarigama Pada Nisa, Sanidapa Magaresa. Okay. And so the practice there would be you would sit and you would practice these sounds. When Masashi actually heard this practice and witnessed it, he just said to me, why do you sit still doing this? Why are you sitting still? Do you really need to do the sitting still thing? And what we started realizing was, he said, that there are energy movements for each of these realms of love, and it would be so much even more, helpful for people to actually start to feel how, when the emotion is felt in a particular part of the body, how this particular mudra and the sound that accompanies it can really come to not only empower you and to allow you to just sound the emotion, but also to use the intervals that we're using, these musical intervals that also help you to embody the sound in any particular given place, right? And so the sound, the emotion, first of all, as we started with the just initials, how do you feel and how does that sound? Yes. So you then can start to feel, so for example, with depression, for example, that where we started out, which is a very strong feeling for a lot of people at the moment. A lot of people are in fear or doubt, or, they're anxious about one thing or another. Depression, if you like. So if you actually take, you can start to learn that is actually the ga. Ga, it's a third, and it goes Gasa. And as soon as you start to bring the energy of that emotion into the ga, yes, you start to feel, oh, wow, just a minute. Oh, I'm being supported here. I'm being nourished. And as the deeper you go into the emotion, the more you start to realize that what you thought was depression is actually a state of longing. The deeper you go in, it's like a sense of longing for something you cannot name, Similarly, if you're finding like you're a very empathic person, you're constantly wanting to look after people, that are in some kind of distress, or that you're having challenges in the world around you, with people who perhaps are agreeing or not agreeing with your particular, opinions about things, or belief systems, you know, you can actually bring the ma, the sound of the ma, and to actually just take yourself to the mirror and just restore that empathy back to yourself. You know, just give it back to yourself. And so, in other words, everything you've given to others, give back to yourself, receive it back. Sama. You know, and we have a practice where you can just practice just descending down the whole scale. Sa, ni, na, ha, and so on, but you can actually turn that into how I love you, how I love you.
Well, what a beautiful place to complete our time with you, Chloë. I wish I had known that beautiful technique, and I love that I have that now. When I came back from working in Iraq and to had that compassion fatigue condition, how beautiful to just have a toning practice, a vocal practice of restoring that and giving voice to truth. What a perfect topic for whatever condition we're in, that we can just voice that. So I want to just make sure people know how to find out where you are, your website, your organization, and your courses with the Shift Network.
So yes, they can find more about this work at The Naked Voice. So that's just the www.thenakedvoice.com or chloegoodchild.com, just the same.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. It's been moving to be with you today and resonating and awakening.
Thank you so much, Christine. It's just such a joy to connect with you, you know, in this sweet and short space of time. And goodness, at a time when sound healing is really entering, you know, the world in no uncertain terms as medicine, you know, every bit as much as a mystical, spiritual practice. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I just want to also mention your incredible recordings. I love to listen to your Gayatri mantra, and a lot of your recordings, I hear them on different channels and Spotify and such, but I just really love what you've recorded and brought into the world in that way, that I always feel a transmission of the healing work that you've created in your own journey from being born without hearing to then becoming this incredible singer. I mean, wow, you've really brought us in your hero or Shiro journey into this huge organization of the Naked Voice worldwide. So thank you, and let's all continue to awaken our voice in this time of sound healing, in global sound healing. Namaste.
Namaste, Christina, and God bless Shift as well. Namaste.